Hi, welcome to the Warhammies with me, Seb. Today we're going to be painting a Necron Warrior using only 5 paints. So what are we going to need? We're going to need a shade of Nuln Oil, some Necron Compound dry brushing paint, some Abaddon Black, some Corax White, and some striking Scorpion Green contrast paint. In terms of brushes, we're going to need a medium shade brush, small dry brush, medium base brush, small layer brush, and just a small Citadel starter brush. Not all of these brushes are required, and it's just the more you have, the easier the method's going to be. I like this method of painting Necrons, as you can always have a batch going, so when you do one stage, you can move on to the next model quickly while you're waiting for the others to dry. One really useful bit about this method is any sort of energy colour you want to paint the Necrons, you can switch out very easily if you're using contrast paints. So if you wanted a yellow, you can choose a different contrast paint to apply over the whites that we're going to be painting. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. I'd recommend priming the miniature in the Citadel Colour Lead Belcher spray. It goes on really well, and it really helps build the base that we're going to then speed paint these Necrons with. The first stage of this method is just going to apply a base of Nuln Oil to the kind of metallic body of the Necron. So all we're going to want to do is just make sure we've covered all of the areas. Now make sure to get it in the recesses as we do this, as we'll be going back over later with a dry brush of Necron Compound to make those silvers pop. Don't have to worry about if it catches the weapons or any other bits, it's absolutely fine for now. Just be careful if it pulls a little bit too much, as we want to avoid that. If you prefer a more weathered look to your Necrons, you can apply Agrax Earthshade. Just continue to apply this all over the miniature so you've covered every part of the metallic body. Once this is done, I'll see you for the next stage. One aspect of painting Necrons is that they're really good to speed paint, meaning that when we were waiting for the Nuln Oil to dry on this model, we can move on to applying Nuln Oil to the next ones. Warriors tend to come in a pack of 10, and it's quite easy to get a production line going once you get started. Now the Nuln Oil's dry, the next stage of the method is going to be applying some Necron Compound just to the edges of the armour to add a bit of a highlighted silver effect. So what we're going to want to do is take a bit of Necron Compound, go to the edges, we're just going to flick down, just giving them a little bit of a highlight. Kind of flick this over all of the edge bits of the armour, so all like harsh edges. It gives it this kind of weathered damage effect, like it's been scratched over time. You can see we're already adding some definition to those shoulder pads. Make sure to get the spine here. But just continue doing all of the corners on the miniature until you're happy with the shiny kind of effect it's adding. I'll see you once this stage is done. The next stage of this method is just going to be applying a base of Abaddon Black to the weapon casing and just the background of his chest symbol. So we'll start with the weapon casing. Now we can afford to be quite messy here, and it's going to take probably 1 to 2 coats to get the Abaddon Black on. Now we will just be popping back to a stage of Necron Compound once this black's done, just to highlight this little blade edge here. But we'll wait until we've done the Abaddon Black first, in case we accidentally crop onto the blade. But as I said, we can afford to be relatively messy here. Going to be going over this pipe here and the barrel with white later on. So just keep on applying Abaddon Black to the weapon casing until you've got a nice even coat over the whole thing. So now we've just painted the weapon casing in Abaddon Black, what we're going to do is just switch to a smaller brush, and I've just switched to a small layer brush, and we'll just be painting the background of the Necron's chest symbol. Again, this might require a few layers, but don't worry about being overly too messy or too neat. Make sure you're not getting it on the silver arm of the Necron. If we get it on the raised bits of the chest symbol, that's absolutely fine, because we're going to be going back over them with a layer of Corax White. But there we go. We don't need to do overly too much. It's just to get the background bits painted in black. And what we'll just quickly do is switch back to Necron Compound just to give this little blade here just a small edge highlight. So now that we've painted all the parts in Abaddon Black that we need to, we're going to be moving on to applying a base of Corax White to the barrel, this pipe, the central symbol, and the eyes of the Necron. So what we want to do is just take a bit of Corax White on our brush. We just need to cover this pipe. Now it's really important when we do this that we make sure that the white is even, which might take a few layers and making sure there's enough water on your brush and enough paint to cover it nice and evenly. This is because when we go back over with contrast paint, really going to highlight all those brush strokes if they're uneven. Now I'm quite particular with how I like my Necrons. I like the classic green rod look on them, which is the method we're going to be achieving using this sort of painting style. Now, if you prefer a more relatively modern Necron, all you'd want to paint with the Corax White is just these individual little pipes with the balls on, and then potentially the battery pack here. Now, my advice when doing this would be then to coat this pipe bit here in Abaddon Black. However, what we're going to do is go down that classic looking Necrons route, with all the Gauss weaponry having nice bright green kind of power flowing through them. Another point we're going to want to paint in white is this pipe. Again, really anything you want kind of glowing, now specifically whether that's glowing green with striking scorpion green or any other shade. Main thing is, if you're using this contrast paint method, will just be to paint any areas you want glowing with a bit of Corax White first. Just make sure to catch both sides of the pipe. Now that we've painted the barrel and the pipe that we want green, what we're going to do is just move on to a nice delicate coating of this central bit here. Now I find this easier if you almost just do like a mini edge highlight, kind of catching the brush parallel to what you want to paint. But again, it's alright if we make any mistakes at this point, because we can always go back over with a nice layer of Abaddon Black. The main bit here is just making sure that we've got enough white on there, and when the green's applied, it looks like it's glowing. And now for the very, very last bit, it's just going to be painting the eyes of the Necron in white. I'm going to just get a bit more paint on my brush there. But the brighter this white on the eyes, better the green effect at the other end. But again, it's alright if we catch the edges, because it'll add this really cool glow effect. But there we go. We finished the whites on the model before applying the contrast paint to add those glows. So moving on to the last stage of just applying a contrast paint of striking scorpion green to all the white areas. So we're going to grab our medium shade brush and make sure it's nice and loaded up. And what we're going to want to do is just get that striking scorpion green into the barrel there. And make sure that it fills the recesses, but try and keep it to nice big brush strokes, because the contrast paint really shows up if you have to go back over. I then also like to do just a little bit more at either end, because when it dries, it makes the edges darker and the central bit a little bit lighter, which makes it look like it's glowing. So once you've got the coating on, just do that. Once that barrel's dried, it's going to start looking really good. As you can see, we tend to kind of catch the edges of the barrel there. So what we're going to need to do is just go back over with a little bit of Abaddon Black. Do the same thing for the pipe on the gun. Hi everyone, Future Seb here. I've just realised I've made a slight mistake during this painting tutorial. When we go to paint the green on the pipe, I meant to say that we wanted the bits closest to the gun casing to be darker. So rather than put more at the base of the pipe, you need to do it at the top of either end to make the bottom have that brighter glow. Once you're happy with those two bits, just switch to a smaller brush so we can do the chest piece and then the eyes. But this model's very nearly done. So I've just switched to the Citadel starter brush just to do these final little points. So again, just very lightly cover this central symbol. We are most likely going to have to go back over again with some Abaddon Black, so it's absolutely fine if it seeps over. Just make sure to catch all of those raised bits which you previously painted white. Then we're going to just want to make sure that we've done the eyes. We're going to be nice and delicate here. We just want to catch the eyes. But again, it's all right if we catch some of the surrounding bits, because it make it look like they're glowing. And there we go. There'll just be a little bit of touch up to do on the gun and the centre chest piece with a bit of a bad and black. But I'll see you once that's been done. And there we go. We've speed painted a Necron Warrior. We haven't covered the base in this video, as you can base your models however you like. However, we will be covering basing my Necrons in a different video. I hope you enjoyed the video, and it's a really, really quick and easy way to get a nice Necron army painted up while kind of keeping to the classic style of, I guess, 3rd edition Necrons. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. All your support really helps me make more videos. Let me know what you enjoyed about this video in the comments down below, or what you're painting at the current moment. Have a good day and happy hobbying.